Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Canada once again, and you've probably heard me grumble on the channel a few times about how difficult Canadian beer can be to find, so I'm really glad that I've been able to find one from a different province. Most of the ones I've done before have been from Quebec, but today we are going to do my first review from British Columbia. So we're going to go to Vancouver and have a taste of my first beer from Parallel 49 Brewing Company, and this one is their Filthy Dirty IPA, which comes in at 7.2%. Should be a quite nice one, and as I always say, it's really cool to try beers from different places, so hopefully this is the start of some of the other provinces' beer in Canada becoming more widely available in Europe. So I hope you guys watching over there enjoy this review, and hopefully I can review some more Canadian beers for you at some point soon. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Parallel 49 Brewing. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one for my Canadian beers, of course, although admittedly that does need some work. But as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching in Canada. But your support and your input to the channel is always hugely appreciated. And I would like to dedicate this particular review as well to Strat Beer Reviews, he was from New Brunswick over in Canada. I couldn't find a beer from his home province, but since this is a Canadian one and it's a bit of a rarity for me, I would like to dedicate this review to him because he unfortunately died a few months ago. Very nice chap and always used to comment on my videos, so amongst the beer tubing community, Strat will be very much missed, so make sure you go and check out his videos if you haven't already. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Parallel 49 Brewing then. So these guys are based in East Vancouver, and they were founded back in 2012 by Mike Sleeman, Nick Palladino and Anthony Frustagli, if I've pronounced that correctly, an Italian name of course, but they'd actually grown up very close to the brewery, and they actually were joined by Scott Venema, Michael Todd and Graham With, who's also the head brewer actually. But Mike, Nick and Anthony actually quit their day jobs in 2008 and they started the St Augustine restaurant together, which really thrived, and it became known as a bit of a craft beer haven within Vancouver, and they later decided that they wanted to follow through on their dream and start their own brewery together. So they teamed up with Graham, who was a well-known and respected home brewer in the city, and also Graham, who was actually a friend that had a long experience of working in sales. And since their inception they've won a number of awards and they're constantly producing different beers, and they've got the tap room which can be found on Triumph Street in the city. They do have a few different beers. They seem to produce quite a few in cask and keg and things, but on the website they do have a few that are listed that you can pick up in bottles. So they have the Wobbly Pop, which is a pale ale, Gypsy Tears, which is a red ale, Filthy Dirty, this one here, which is the IPA. They have the Jerkface 9000, which is a wheat beer, the Craft Lager, and they also have the Tricycle, which is a grapefruit lager. So yeah, really quite interesting, as I say, to try new beers from Vancouver. This is the very first time, of course, I'm doing a beer from that province, so hopefully it's not the last, and hopefully we get more of these over here in Europe sometime soon. But I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. It is actually quite nice. There you can see it's the kind of pig there. Apparently these guys do have, they do like to name their beers really random things and quite rude things, so that's always quite good. I know a few breweries in Scandinavia who do that as well. They like to get themselves in trouble. Like Amor Brewhouse is one that really seem to get themselves into trouble when they're exporting their beers. But I do like breweries that do the kind of crazy artwork and the crazy names of their beers. There you can see the Parallel 49 bottle cap on this one, but really nicely presented. As I said, it's a 7.2% IPA. It's a 341 milliliter bottle. This, I guess that's probably something to do with the units they use over there, fluid ounces or something. But normally it's 330 mils that we get over here. But this one is hopped with an Atenum, which is another Northwest American hop, Amarillo, Citra, Centennial, Chinook and Simcoe, and it's got a malt base of pale, crystal and Carapils malts. So yeah, it should be a really quite nice beer. If that hop bill is anything to go by, it should be very nice. So definitely looking forward to trying this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass now then. It should be really good. So yeah, as you can see, a nice smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass. Oh, that looks really nice. You can smell some of the nice biscuity malts coming off this beer as you open it up. It's got a lovely big head on it there as well. We'll just let that settle a little bit before we put the rest of it in, but as you can see, this beer's poured a really nice kind of hazy golden orange amber colour. If I just bring that up there, I'm not sure how well you can see that in the light here. If I hold it over this side, you can see that, but it's quite a nice kind of rich golden orange amber, this beer. It looks absolutely lovely. So there's a big solid, probably 3-finger frothy white head on this one. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But it looks a very, very nice beer. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see there is a little bit of transparency to it, but mainly, you know, it's quite an opaque and hazy beer, but it looks very, very nice. So let's have a closer look at the aroma of this one then, before we get stuck in. That smells really quite interesting, actually. Some interesting fruity characters going on with this beer. So I'm getting a good bit of juicy orange character. That's the Amarillo coming out, of course. You can pick up a little bit of passion fruit, which is from the Simcoe, and the Citra fruits are coming out as well. Citra, of course, always gives you these nice kind of lighter tropical notes. There's a little bit of mango in there. It smells like orange and mangoes and passion fruit, really. It's actually quite a sweet, fruity beer, this. And you can smell the nice, yeah, you can smell the nice malty characters coming out of this beer. It really does smell very sweet and fruity, and also malty as well. It does have a big kind of caramel and biscuity note just underpinning it. It really does smell quite nice. You can smell a little bit of the floral and grassy character that you're going to get from these hops. Not getting much in the way of pine resins or anything from this though. It does have Chinook in it, so normally you expect a big kind of grapefruit and pine resin presence in that, but no doubt we'll probably detect that in the flavour, of course. But it smells really nice. As I say, this one is actually quite a sweet smelling IPA. There's some lovely kind of caramel malty character and a little bit of a sort of juicy fruity note in there as well. I do wonder if that's coming from the Atenum, of course. It's supposed to have a really nice, quite sweet grapefruit aroma. I had to look that hop up, of course, before this video, because it's not such a common one. But it's from Yakima Valley, as far as I can tell. It's from the next mountain along from Yakima Valley or something like that. It's meant to have a grapefruit and a kind of specific floral note to it. But really quite interesting. It's always cool. As a beer reviewer, of course, you are always learning about different things, and I do wonder if you do get some Canadian hops, although Canada, I gather, is very, very cold, even when I was there a lot of the time, so I'm not sure how much hop you could actually grow up there. But it would be interesting to know if there are Canadian hops, so if those of you watching in Canada do know anything about that, please do let me know, because I'd love to try some Canadian hopped beers if they do exist. But this smells really quite nice. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer before you get stuck into it. Really sweet, really kind of sweet fruity character, juicy fruits, and a nice malt base to it. So let's just pop the last bit of the beer in, and then we'll give it a taste. So as I said earlier, I want to dedicate this review to Strat, who was from New Brunswick in Canada, a really nice guy who used to review beers as well, so we'll dedicate this review to him. Slangy guys, cheers Strat, you will be missed. That's quite nice. There's quite a lot going on in that beer, right enough. But it's actually a very nice, kind of drinkable IPA. It's not one of the ones that's going to absolutely blow your head in terms of hoppy bitterness. It's actually, it strikes me as one that is more about how the flavours blend together, and I have to admit, that is something that I do appreciate. There's a lot of breweries just blast it with a certain hop and hope, you know, we're going to get a lot of orange flavour, but this one is a little bit more kind of complex than that, I think. It's quite interesting as well. I can't really think I've ever had another IPA that tastes like this one. There's some interesting things going on in this beer, and the fruit, you know, the fruit really seems to blend together quite well, and the malt base, I actually quite like how the malt base in this one's done. So in the middle of your palate, there's a lot of bready character in there. For me, you can feel some of the pale malt, but then there's a thicker breadiness just builds on top of it. You can pick up some of the caramel, sort of the carapils character coming out on this, so you've got that nice almost digestive biscuity sweetness to this beer sitting in the middle of your palate, and there's some richer caramel just sitting in there as well. So that's really nice, as I say, big bready malt base and some nice kind of sweet caramelly notes in there as well. It's a really lovely smelling beer, this one. A really lovely tasting beer, actually. I do like this. But like I said, it's not going to blow your head in terms of the hoppy bitterness or the malty side of things. It really is, pardon me, just quite a nicely blended beer, this. Quite drinkable actually, that's the first thing you're going to notice about it. But yeah, the hops really aren't that bitter in this one at all. It actually feels very, very smooth. So at the back corner of the palate, there's a teeny little bit of earthiness there, and some of the hoppy characters are actually really starting to come out a little bit as you move into the aftertaste with this one. So there's some nice kind of floral aromaticity to this beer. You can detect a little bit of the pine resins as you move further and further into the aftertaste. But it's got a nice little bit of an almost spicy floral character that's just lingering there, and as you go round the front curve of the palate too, it's got a nice it's got quite a nice lighter grassy note to it. And as you go, if you go behind that front curve of the palate, of course, that's where some of these fruity esters are coming out. That's where you always get that little oily bubble with the fruity esters. So we'll look at that a little bit more closely. So for me, I'm not getting too much in the way of the normal grapefruit character that I would have been expecting from this beer. That starts to come out a little bit more in the aftertaste actually. So when the beer starts to move further and further into the aftertaste, that's when you're getting a little bit of the pine resin and the grapefruit flavour that you'd normally expect of the Chinook hop, and of course the Atinum's going to give you that as well. And the Centennial will give you, I always remember Centennial being a big floral hop with a little bit of, just a little bit of grapefruit actually, and kind of citrusy notes as well. But really it's more in the aftertaste you're getting these big floral and kind of piney notes from the beer. But overall, you know, it is, the hoppy bitterness in this one is quite low in comparison to what you'd normally expect from the style. But for me, I quite like that because the beer is more about how the flavour blends, as I said. But the fruitiness is nice. It actually, for me, at least, it blends quite well with the sort of bready character and the kind of caramel flavours in this beer. And I just quite like how this one comes across because it is quirky and different. So I think there's a bit of orangey fruit in there. That's coming from the Amarillo, as I said, but for me there's definitely some sort of orangey character in there, and as you move further on you can feel some of these lighter notes from the citrus coming out, maybe the kind of gooseberry or sort of lychees flavours that you get from that hop are just sitting there behind the front curve of the tongue. I'm not really getting the mangoes and things that I was picking up from the aroma. Just have a wee look at the aroma again and see what's coming out of it. Yeah, you know, it does actually smell like there's mangoes that are sort of, it does have quite a mango aroma to it. The citrus starts to come out more, I think, now than it was before, but there's a nice juicy orange. The Amarillo is quite noticeable in the aroma of this beer, and you can certainly pick that up on the palate as well. But this is pretty nice. So like I say, fruits start off orangey, a little bit of grapefruit underneath, then there's a bit of the sort of lychee kind of gooseberry flavours come out a little bit later on as you move into the aftertaste. There's a good bit of floral character there. It's underpinning the beer. Maybe there's a tiny bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate too. But for me, it's quite a nice beer. It's quite an enjoyable and quite drinkable IPA, this, but it's certainly not going to blow your head in terms of hoppy bitterness or malty sweetness. It's somewhere kind of in the middle of those two, and it's quite a nice drinkable session beer, this. I mean, for 7.2%, you would never think it's that strong in the alcohol content. It goes down really quite easily, and it's a nice drinking beer, this. I can see how this would pair with quite a few different foods and things like that. So if that's the sort of thing you like to go for, if you like an IPA that's not too bitter, then you might quite enjoy this one. It does have almost a more kind of English IPA malt base to it, with some of the nice kind of American fruity hops, but the bitterness for me on this one just isn't quite there. And I guess maybe that's something we need to consider if this beer's come from Canada to Scotland. It might just be that the hoppy bitterness is faded, but the beer was well in date when I checked it out earlier, so it's maybe the beer just isn't that hoppy, and that's what they're going for. But for me, quite a nice drinkable IPA. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one's mid-body. The carbonation is really smooth on this. It has a big oily mouthfeel, this one. There's a good juicy fruity character from the hops. There's just a little bit of bitterness. As I said, as you move into the aftertaste it becomes a little bit more bitter, but there's a good smooth kind of sweet character coming from the malt base as well. But overall, it's quite a nice IPA, and I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I'd love to try it on cask actually, or keg, and just see how the malt base, because the malt base probably will sweeten up a little bit when you have it out the keg, and of course you can get some differences in the hoppy character as well. So it would be interesting to compare the bottled version to the keg version and see how it comes out. But I think this would actually be a lovely cask ale with these old kind of English pumps, and just with the kind of feel that this beer has. I think it would be lovely as one of these cask ales. But yeah, really cool to try my first beer from Parallel 49 Brewing Company. I'd recommend this one to people who like the sort of nice, juicy, fruity and quite sweet IPAs. It doesn't have a big hoppy bitterness though, so just be aware of that, because normally when it comes to that kind of area of the world, you would expect that from an IPA, but this one is more kind of fruity, juicy and quite sweet from the malty side of things too. But for me, I quite enjoyed it, and as I say, it's really cool to try something from a new part of the world. So yeah, this one was the Filthy Dirty IPA from Parallel 49 Brewing Company over in Vancouver. Been really cool to try this one for you guys. I hope you enjoyed my review. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer and the brewery in the comments section below. Hopefully I can try some more of their beers for you at some point. I was quite lucky to find this one through in Glasgow actually when I was there, but hopefully I can find some more Canadian beers to review for you fairly soon. So until the next time, Slange just now, make sure you try some of the Parallel 49 beers from Vancouver in Canada, and please, if you're watching over there, let me know some other Canadian beers that you guys would like to see me review. Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.